customers to be able to read and know a certain amount they are supposed to pay?
Yes, I'm not actually saying that the bills are not speaking. I'm saying that if you're adding additional burden on the warning that the regulation provides on disconnection on the bills, because that's a document that is supposed to advise you to make payments of your bill. So when it comes to the issues of disconnection, it should be treated separately, because I'm saying that there are a whole lot of information that is in the bill. You know, you find the information of tariff, you find the information of capping, and then you find VAT, you find even the personal details of the consumer. So, and then, you know, I don't know whether you've cited it. If you have cited it, you know, it's not everybody that is able to even read the bill whenever it is given to the consumers. But, you know, even on this platform, we have encouraged consumers to be able to interpret their bills. We have said to them that part of their responsibilities is even to visit the nearest business units of their location, wherever they don't understand anything that has to do with their bills, so that they will understand all the details. And then, you know, for example, we've also told consumers that consumers should be able to know how much is their tariff. You know, in trying to know how much is your tariff, and then you know what tariff class you even belong, you know, and that's how you'll be able to follow up to know whether you are even billed accurately.
Okay.
You know, so what we're trying to say, so that we don't digress so much, is that a written warning ought to be or must be given to consumers ahead of planned disconnection. Okay, so a customer, again, this is very important. Customer may actually request a distribution company to disconnect his or her premises. It is very important. I've seen even during our intervention program where certain customers even brought letters to show how they wrote the distribution company to come and disconnect their premises. Sometimes it's as a result of certain agreements. Sometimes it's even as a result of faulty equipment, when they, you know, based on the experience of consumers. You know, most of the time, consumers have complained to us about them being billed around the period that they are experiencing disconnection or challenges. So most of the time, you discover that consumers have even, you know, written the distribution company to come and carry out disconnection in their premises pending when supply returns. Okay. And why this is very important is for the consumers to know that at the time that the consumer remains disconnected, the distribution company is not expected to bill the customer.
Okay.
You know, and then let me even also say this. Like the customer must, or consumer must, ensure that at the time he or she wants a disconnection, that request of disconnection must be done in writing. Because sometimes when you tell, especially the distribution company,
even the disconnection has to be in writing.
Yes. Now, when a consumer is requesting that the distribution company should come and disconnect his or her premises, it should be done in writing. Okay. Because especially when there is supply of electricity, you know, there are instances, I've seen consumers who feel like the bills that they are being given is on the high side, and they will tell you that they don't even want supply. Mm-hmm. And I've seen consumers who, as a result of lack of supply, they will say that they don't want supply of electricity. The distribution company should come and disconnect them. They want to rest. So either of these instances, the consumer is expected to inform the distribution company in writing. The reason is because if it is even where there is supply of electricity, the distribution company can come and tell you that they have been giving you supply. It will not become your word against the word of the distribution company, saying that within this period, we've been giving you supply. And you know, most of the distribution company claim that their systems are not automated. Hence, they don't even know when there's supply of electricity in a particular location. And that is where the responsibility of the consumers even comes in. That whenever there's even failure of service, inform the distribution company, so that the distribution company will not come and use you to shine. You know, we've always said that otherwise the distribution company will, you know, use the distribution company will have a superior argument to say that based on their feeder or based on their observation or based on their record or whatever, they know that supply has been given to your location.
Exactly.
So for you to have a superior argument, always ensure that your dealings with these distribution companies are done in writing. Okay? And a disco shall not disconnect a customer if the amount owed is less than the value of his monthly usage or has entered into a payment arrangement with the distribution company. There are instances where a consumer who is owing a distribution company will enter a payment plan to be paying the consumer. To be paying the distribution company. It is one of the electricity consumer rights for a payment plan to be arranged for the customer where he or she is owing the distribution company. They will sit down with the distribution company and say, okay, after a reconciliation probably has been done for the customer, and then the distribution company will say, okay, based on the agreements we have and based on your accumulated bills or the bills you are owing the company, you will be paying so amount in a monthly, on a monthly basis. So a distribution company under this information that the consumer needs to know concerning disconnection is that the DISCO will not disconnect a consumer or should not disconnect a consumer when the consumer is owing less than his or her monthly usage of electricity. A DISCO shall not disconnect a customer if he has made a formal, this is very important, where a consumer has complained concerning the services he or she is getting on electricity services he or she is getting or receiving from the distribution company. The distribution company is not or should not disconnect such a customer. And we're saying this and pointing it clearly so that the distribution company will know. For example, if a consumer has complained about the fact that, or consumer is rather contesting his or her bill, or complaining about overbilling, the distribution, and then the consumer has made a formal complaint in writing. When you talk about a complaint, and then the consumer, it all depends on the distribution company. There are some distribution company that you will go and lay a complaint to them, and then a ticket will be raised on your behalf. Okay. And then there are other people, like I think Ikeja Distribution Company, they call their own SR, which is service request. So if you have such evidence, that's good enough. That means that you went to the office and make a complaint verbally. But in an instance whereby they don't have such documents or such practices, we advise consumers to ensure that they document their complaints in writing. It is very, very important. Okay. And then before any action that has to do with disconnection, it should be when the issue is resolved, when it is established that the consumer really needs to pay or the consumer has violated his or her billing process, and then the distribution company can go ahead and attempt any form of disconnection. But as far as the issue remains unresolved, the distribution company shall not disconnect a consumer that has made a formal complaint to the distribution company. Okay? And during the period that the consumer shall pay any amount agreed to as reasonable to the DISCO. If agreement is reached, that's what the consumer will be paying. It's very, very important so that the consumers will know. And then whenever an address is disconnected for non-payment and a non-payment bill has been produced, the DISCO shall not bill any additional charges to that address until it has been reconnected. Okay. It is very important for this distribution company to know all of this, and then for us as electricity consumers, we really need to know. And then very importantly, you remember that under the old customer protection regulation, when there is any illegal form of disconnection by the distribution company, if a resident of an electricity consumer is illegally disconnected, then under the new customer protection regulation, daily, as the premises remains disconnected, the distribution company shall be paying the consumer 1,000 naira on a daily basis.
Wow, wow.
That used to be, the penalty for illegal disconnection. Okay. And then if
So is it still applicable in this new constitution?
I'm saying this, then I will now give the new
constitution. Okay.
And then if it was a commercial premises, it is expected that the distribution company will be paying 1,500. And then if it is other premises like maybe the church or industrial layouts, the distribution company shall pay 2,000 naira daily for illegal disconnection. But then under the new consumer protection regulation, for illegal disconnection, it attracts daily equivalent of credit consumption of the customer. Okay. For example, if a consumer is disconnected illegally under this new consumer protection regulation, it's expected that the distribution company will be paying the daily consumption. If, for example, the consumer's daily consumption, let's say, is 10 units, that is what the distribution company will be paying as penalty for illegal disconnection. Okay. And it is so important for consumers to know. And like we've always said, the reason why we are trying to educate and empower you is to be able to demand and insist on your right. If there's any form of illegal disconnection, ensure that you have a document to show. And then remember that even if as a distribution company, if they carry out any form of disconnection, they are supposed to leave the consumer with a notice a disconnection order. That's going to be a notice whereby all the information concerning the disconnection, the time, and whoever it is that disconnected the customer's premises, information will be provided. Okay. So consumers should ensure that when they carry out any form of disconnection, whether it is a legal disconnection or illegal disconnection, such documents such as disconnection order must be given. And then if there's nothing like that to be shown, to you, then some of it is there are pointers that set some form of illegal disconnection have taken place in your premises. We say this so that consumers will always shine their eyes and demand and insist on their rights, that what is expected of the distribution company is what is done.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mrs. Bridget, for this information you've given us today. And so this is, we're going to open the telephone line now. We just have a few minutes to go. So we'll open our telephone lines if our consumers want to ask any question or they want to make any complaints. The number to call is 090 9930 1011. The number to call is 090 9930 1011. Please feel free to call us if you have any complaints or you have questions to ask Mrs. Bridget with regards to this connection. She's here for you, okay? And don't forget to turn down the volume of your radio. Once you call us, please turn down the volume of your radio because of the feedback. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Okay, my name is Mrs. Rachel, calling from Abuja. Where to be precise.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Rachel, for calling. Please go ahead.
Okay, please. I was listening to your program and I got interested when you were talking about the disconnection.
Okay.
We had an issue here in this compound where we were disconnected. There was no notice. I was hearing when we were talking about they should bring a letter showing that they are coming for disconnection. For the past 3 months now, we are out of light. We have meter that we are using. They came and said that the meter was faulty. And after everything, they disconnected us from the meter and connected us direct, saying that they are officials, they are going to come and they are going to replace the meter for us. After 3 months or thereabouts, they came and said that they are going to bill us for direct connection. And I was now you people disconnected us and said that the meter was faulty. I used to know the one that was supposed to replace the meter. It's not that as if it was a bypass or anything. He said yes, that they are supposed to replace the meter, but there is no meter, that we should go and buy meter. I said, okay, if I buy meter, the meter is available. He said yes. I said, so which one is that? There is no meter to replace. When people say it's faulty, we are not sure. It's not showing me where the meter is faulty or what caused the meter to be faulty. We are recharging and we are having a light. You just came and said there is no, that the meter is faulty. without any, we don't have any issue or any issue with recharging the meter. We are recharging. People just disconnected us like that. Up till now, we are in darkness.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That's
Can I
Mrs.
ask
Rachel.
Mrs. Rachel?
Yes,
I need
Richard.
Okay, Mrs. Richard, can I get some clarification from you? Are you saying that since the time the distribution company took away your meter, you have been without supply? Because if I understand you...
They didn't take the meter away, they disconnected us. As at this moment I'm talking to you, we don't have light.
Okay, madam, because you had mentioned that they connected you on direct initially. So I wanted to establish whether for the past 3 months you haven't been without supply. Yeah.
No, for the past 3 months we don't have light. We've been without supply, yes.
As a result of your meter, as a result of the meter they took away.
Yes.
So, okay, have you made a formal complaint to the distribution company?
Yes.
Did you make that in writing?
Arguing with the man, the one that says their district manager, being a marketing manager.
Okay, did you make...
How can you bring a bill of 191,000? How?
Okay, because we need to understand. If you're saying the bill they brought to you was after your meter was taken, right?
The meter is not taken. They did not carry it out. They just disconnected it.
Okay, no problem. What you need to do, it's time for you to escalate your complaints to the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Because what is expected is that if your meter is even faulty, the distribution company is supposed to replace the meter or fix the meter within 48 hours. And then if they are unable to fix the meter or replace the meter within 48 hours, they are expected to, take your previous average consumption. And that's what you'll be paying pending when they are able to return your meter. So we don't even expect them to place you on, estimated billing when you are a meter consumer, because once a customer is metered, that customer remains metered. Okay. So whatever it is, I think it's time for you to escalate your complaint to the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission so that the commission will provide redress. So I am going to give the different platforms you can use to make your complaint to the commission towards the end of the program.
Okay, all right.
Thank you
very much.
Yes,
You're
thank
welcome.
you, Mrs. Richard. Hello, good morning.
Morning, ma.
Thank you. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Matthew. I'm calling from Nyanya.
Okay, Mr. Matthew from Yanya.
Nyanya.
Okay, please go ahead, Mr. Matthew.
Yeah, my own complaint about the NEPA policy. They disconnected my light. After disconnected, I wrote to them that they have disconnected my light. Then my bill continued coming for 2 months. I rewrite again. They complain. They acknowledge the camera is with me. So the last day I attached to it. But end of the day, about a year interval, what is the light never reconnect up till now. They now bring a bill of 90 something, whereby the former bill, even when they had that 2 months, was 50 something. And when they last week, they were telling me that the one that have come, this and that, so they even put it out. They say the network is not, they are always coming up and down. I don't know what to do about it.
Okay. All right.
Okay, Mr. Matthew from Nyanya. What you need to do is to visit the commission now and ensure that you come with the acknowledged copy of the complaints that you filed with the distribution company. Normally, when you are under disconnection, it is expected that the distribution company will not bill you within those periods you are under disconnection. Since you have your evidence, it's going to be a simple matter for the commission to resolve such a complaint. So you should listen very well so that you pick the address of our office or the platform you can use to escalate your complaint to the commission.
Okay, that means I can bring my complaint to the consumer protection office.
Definitely, you can escalate your complaint because you said you have complained to the distribution company and they haven't done anything. You said they've been tossing you here and there. So it is time for you to escalate your complaint to the FCCPC.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Matthew. So at the before the end of the program, she's going to mention the various platforms to which you can table your complaint to the FCCPC. Okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's take the last call. Hello, good morning. Okay. Okay. 090-9930-1011. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Senora.
Yes, welcome to FCCPC Hour.
The sister over there, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Philemon. I'm calling from Duse, Duse.
Okay.
We've been having some challenges here, which we don't have neutral. In our settlement, we just have light connected to our various houses, and the center point is where somebody collects the money from us to make payment of consumption. So a few of us would not be happy with the situation ongoing, which the young man collecting money from us to make payment, as well for one day, should present the bill before us. Once bill comes, he just comes to us that the bill is out, and we don't know how much is the bill.
Okay.
And again, when we don't have light and we complain to him, the other members will have light and we complain to him, he will tell us that he is not an AEDC staff. But I asked him, you are not an AED staff, but you come to collect money for your behalf. Your duty is to complain to them as the way you come on their behalf to collect money from us. So I don't know, a situation like that, what do we do about it?
Okay.
Okay, Mr. I didn't quite get your name. Did you say Philip or Philemon?
Yes, Philemon.
Okay. What you need to do, this is something that is time for you to visit the nearest office of the electricity distribution company. That's the business unit nearest to you. Just visit that office and go and table your complaint. Do you understand? Because this complaint you are making is not something that has to do with the distribution company, but rather has to do with an individual that is known to you. So you kindly visit the nearest business unit serving your location and table these complaints. Ensure that you make this complaint in writing. Tell the distribution company that you really are interested in knowing how much they are billing you, and you are really interested in getting the receipts of your monthly payments of bills. Because if you don't take these steps, in future is going to affect you seriously. Bills could have been accumulated, on your behalf that you don't know about. So you need to quickly visit the nearest business unit so they will address these issues you have brought before us. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Philemon, for checking by. Yes, Mrs. Bridget, please, we would like to hear from you all the various platforms the consumers can lay their complaints.
Okay, so if you are in Abuja and you want to physically file your complaints with the Commission, you can do so by visiting the Commission's website, which is www.fccpc.gov.ng. www.fccpc.gov.ng. And then if you want to send us an email, our email address is also contact@fccpc.gov.ng. contact@fccpc.gov.ng. And if you also want to interact with the Commission on our social media platform, it's the same for X, the same for Instagram, and the same for Facebook, which is at FCCPC Nigeria. And we have a dedicated electricity phone number that you can reach out to the Commission, which is 081 19 877785. The electricity dedicated phone number for the FCCPC is 081 19 877785. Remember, you can send us WhatsApp on that line. You can also send us SMS, and you can also put a call across to us. And we expect consumers at this point in time to always demand and insist on their rights. If you're having a challenge with your electricity service, remember to always locate the nearest business unit of the distribution company serving your area and file your complaint in writing. And when you are dissatisfied with the outcome of your complaint with the distribution company, you can always escalate such complaints to the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Bridget Etsy. Yes, that has been the FCCPC Hour on Human Rights Radio and Television 101.1 FM, the station that redefines broadcasting. Mrs. Bridget, please, for the sake of those people who are joining us for the first time in this program, kindly give us the full details of your introduce yourself properly.
Okay, my name is Bridget Etim. I am from the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, and we've been doing this sensitization, education to ensure that we empower you as electricity consumers to demand and insist on your rights. And we're saying that wherever you feel shortchanged on the kind of services that the electricity distribution company is giving out to you, ensure that you reach out to the electricity distribution company in writing, and then you certainly get a response from the distribution company. And when you don't get that, ensure that you get an acknowledged copy of your complaint to the distribution company and file such complaints with the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission.
Okay, thank you very much. So if you have any complaints, please make use of the various platforms which Mrs. Bridget has mentioned to get across to Fccpc to table your complaint with regards to electricity matter. My name is Mariam Umbaka. See you.